What is up, all you people? Welcome back to the GWRLD podcast. We've somehow made it to 6 weeks. Hunter, let's kick it off as we usually do. That's me asking you, how are you freaking doing on this dandy day?
Got a Diet Mountain Dew in hand, so I'm doing pretty good, I'll be honest.
That's awesome, dude. I started off this morning with a double espresso with chocolate milk. The peeps know what I be drinking these days, so I'm turned off the walls. I'm feeling pretty good myself. As per usual, though, Hunter, before we get into today's topics, which are awesome, I would say probably the best topics we've had so far in the podcast, we take this time to read comments of former episodes, which have been they've been really friendly, Hunter. I know you can actually assume that. The first one I want to read off was from Victory Video Vault. He says, both of these guys got canned from Esports Talk for a reason.
I mean, I guess that is true. It was for a reason, ultimately. But
wait, you didn't get fired, right? I thought we both left.
Oh, no, we did both leave, actually. That's true. Everyone else got fired after we left. So there's some perspective.
But yet again, they know more than we do. Maybe one day we'll talk about that one. Another one, his name is Naughty Dreams, says, seriously, you need to do your research, talking about the whole Battle Eye thing. It's obvious Bobby Poff is cheating. His own gameplay proves that. Oh, wait, that's not the one I wanted to read. I wanted to read this one. Jake, stop being a snake and call it down the middle. You know dang well he said Rumble joins Kick and declining to sign Doc. Where's the truth in that when the CEO has no idea what the F you and the rest of these lying journos are on about? Then there's like 14 more sentences and he ends it by saying, yeah.
That's good. I still see the comments all the time when people get upset at you for saying that Doc admitted to messaging a minor inappropriately, and people are just upset over you saying that. Like, how could you say something like that? And that just still gets me because he said it, and it's just hilarious.
Yeah, but let's hop into some non-doc topics for once, and we do have some big ones out there with the release of Black Ops 6. We got Shroud. I know you're going to really like this one, and Shroud went viral for a take as he discussed live on stream why he hates games like Call of Duty. Now, he also prefaces by saying, I get it, this is what Call of Duty is made around, but he says how he hates the fact that you have to unlock weapon by weapon, attachment by attachment, and you're weeks into the game, and all of a sudden, like, you're still catching up to the people around you, and then if you want to restart, you can do that if you want to. So kind of just calling out the arena shooter format that Call of Duty has been based on for like over a decade, and saying that's what he hates about Call of Duty.
I don't understand it, though. That's just what Call of Duty is. It's what it always has been. And I feel like that's part of the fun of Call of Duty is that grind. Because otherwise, what are you doing? If there's no grind, then what's the point? You just hop in, have everything unlocked, and play for a little bit? That's all?
Yeah, but it's also like it Shroud's. He has the option to voice his opinion. Hunter, there's not every shooter is like Call of Duty. Like XDefiant and Call of Duty, the arena shooter format is obvious, right? But there's other shooters out there like Halo. Everyone's on a level playing field. Counter-Strike, everyone's on a level playing field. Now, those aren't the same respawn, die type beat that Call of Duty is. But like I kind of understand where he's coming from. Like the game of Call of Duty is not for everyone. He's just pointing out the obvious reason as to why that is, you know?
I mean, sure. Again, I feel like the comments have to be like, then don't play. Because it seems like that is the entire point of Call of Duty. That's when I played COD a ton. The fun part was that you would level up and grind your weapons. You don't grind on your weapons. You grind your weapons to get better attachments. And so you kit out your gun. You know someone who's fully kitted with, and I know Call of Duty has changed, but you know that they've grinded a lot for it. And then you prestige and you have to restart with those, like getting the weapons again and getting the attachments again. And that was part of why getting to max prestige was so incredible, because you had to restart 10 times, 15 times, whatever it was, to be able to get all the way up there. And then once you do all the different challenges for the different guns and you're getting all the attachments, you're getting all the camos, and it's like it's a big thing. It was fun. And so I guess Shroud just hates fun.
Yeah, maybe it's the older person to me, though. Like, I understand where he's coming from because I've been playing a lot of Halo and a bit more CS. And it maybe because I'm older and I have less time to play as many games, where like when you hop on Call of Duty now and you're doing it once a week, maybe twice a week, and you're so far behind of a guy who's 60 levels in front of you and has the same weapon with full attachments, that part of Call of Duty is not fun. Like, especially opening week, I'm never the first guy on Call of Duty. And so those first few weeks are a grind to unlock your favorite weapon, to get to your favorite weapon. And then you have to go through so many Jimmies who already have every 16 attachments ahead of you. And then, of course, you're dealing with the usual Call of Duty crowd who's, cracked out of their minds. So, like, part of me understands where he's coming from, but I definitely get it. It's like, it's a total Shroud statement.
Welcome to war, man. Welcome to the battlefield. I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's just Call of Duty. I feel like at a certain point, it was like the Christmas noobs get on, and these dudes have been playing for 4 months already. And already have like max prestige, and then you see someone who's level 1 join the lobby, and that's like part of what made Call of Duty, and you would know who the dads were who could only play a couple times a week versus the 14-year-olds who were playing all night, every night. And so I don't know, I just feel like that's a big part of Call of Duty. However, to your point, I'm gonna give you guys a bone here. I did see a TikTok yesterday from a guy who expressed something that a lot of people were agreeing with. And that was the fact that it's not, just like these kids running around that are ruining Call of Duty. It's not this, that, and the other. It's content creators who have ruined Call of Duty because you go on
you're
Twitch
on this train now.
You go on Twitch and there's hundreds of thousands of people who are all trying to speed run and get their clips and do X, Y, and Z. And that is the part that has made Call of Duty worse, not anything about the game itself.
That's a really interesting point that I don't think we can possibly dive into because we'll talk about it too long. But I do understand that because like now you have all these pros and streamers and creators who are also posting their builds. So all of these kids know right away. Like back in the day when we were playing, I was just doing the Scar H, whatever attachments my buddies had. There were YouTube videos back then, right? But now it's like to the nth degree. You know exactly what your favorite streamer is building around the whole time. So that is kind of, I never really thought about that. That's a different topic for a different day. But speaking still on Call of Duty, we also had some big announcements from Nickmercs, who may not be touching the battlefield this year, as he goes on to say that he wasn't too interested, didn't really give an F about this year's Call of Duty being Black Ops 6, and does not assume that he's going to be playing at all this year, and might be just be sticking it out over on Apex Legends. So that was another viral clip from this past week.
Is that a big announcement, though, really? Is it a big announcement?
I mean, when you think about 5 years ago where Nickmercs was and to the point where he's gotten where he's not even touching Call of Duty, it is pretty astounding. And are you breaking things in your studio right now, or what am I listening to?
Hey, man, they couldn't hear that. You're the only one who could hear that. That was an acorn falling on my roof, and no one else knows. You just sound crazy.
I always sound crazy, but yeah, think about how crazy it is that 5 years ago, Nick is on top of the world. Even 3 years ago, right? Probably the biggest Warzone streamer in the space and one of the bigger Call of Duty creators ever. And now he's like, I don't really care about the game. Like, he has made it to a point, whether you like it or not, where he doesn't need to touch the game anymore and has now become the guy who hates on the COD creators who keep on playing it year in and year out and can't criticize the game.
I guess so. I just, you can take everything with a grain of salt with him. Like, if he played it, he would get way more viewership. His audience loves that. Other people who watch Call of Duty would watch him play. The only reason he's not doing it is because of the whole situation that happened, and he would be, sucking on the Call of Duty teat just as much as any other creator if it wasn't for that situation. So it is what it is. He's focused on Apex again for now, and we'll see where he goes with it.
Yeah, we'll see what big creators do step back. It's been a wild time, by the way, for all these titles that have been releasing, because we've had so many big paid opportunities and big game releases in the past month and a half alone. And then on top, because we saw Supervive, we saw Off the Grid, we saw the other game that I can't even think of, the one by 2K, and now Black Ops 6 around the corner. So these creators are eating very well right now. And I, unfortunately, someone who was not eating, and I don't know why I transitioned like that. We have a doc topic for this week that was big, as he did announce on stream, did not seem too happy about this, that he has been denied monetization for another 2 months by YouTube.
A lot of people came for you for that too, and I assume will come for you on this video saying denied.
I'm just telling you guys what happened. He got rejected. What am I supposed to say there?
I don't know. Everyone's like, he didn't get denied, he got delayed. So what's up with that?
No, it's not a delay. They waited to the last day, and he even said it himself, rejected his appeal. So he has to resubmit an appeal, and he has to wait 2 months to do so. So like, why are we like drawn on words there? He has to wait 2 more months. So his monetization application or appeal either didn't get replied to, which means they didn't really, like, you think they just avoided him for no reason?
Yeah, I mean, they definitely.
I think it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, I would agree, but you know how the audience is going to react to certain things, and
I don't anymore, man. I really don't.
a lot of the comments just being like, well, it's not rejected. It's just a delay. He just didn't get it yet, which could be true for all we know. Like maybe one day he will get it back. You're right. It's a very optimistic viewpoint.
I think he will get it back. Yeah, eventually, but just not now.
Maybe I wanted to draw back on, and I can't remember everything he said, but I would have to go back to when we first posted about the situation with Doc and YouTube, and when they demonetized him, Fwiz commented on some of that. And I remember him saying that back then they couldn't do anything when he got banned, but they didn't offer him a partnership because of the stuff that was going around, but there wasn't anything like they couldn't like directly take any action. But now that this happened, then they could actually take
because that's really interesting, and Hunter will pull this up as we wait. If you guys don't remember, back when this was first announced, Fwiz, formerly the head of YouTube Gaming, I believe, played a pretty pivotal role there, was pretty vocal and transparent. He's now since moved on and still doing good things in the Web3 gaming space. But back when this first happened, he was like, I couldn't really say, we couldn't do anything. So it's interesting how this would change from then to now. It's almost as if YouTube didn't want to be the face of like, hey, we have heard an inkling of what these rumors and allegations might be, but we don't want to be the party to have this come to light like through us. They wanted to wait and see this be a confirmed public case, as we've now found out from Doc himself and the ex-Twitch employees. So I do wonder like what would have changed from then to now, but that's likely the case.
Most of what the response was about the actual partnership itself, saying that the YouTube team had heard rumors about it, but there wasn't any direct evidence.
Right. That makes sense.
Like that, like they weren't passed any direct evidence at YouTube to know if it was true or not. And then Twitch came out and said that there was no wrongdoing. So YouTube still, though, did not give a deal, but they couldn't deplatform him or get rid of monetization without any sort of direct evidence, which is why he could still stream, but never got any direct support from YouTube.
Yeah, so once he then admits to those things publicly, they're like, okay, now is our turn to kind of softly, like, I think they've softly made their statement of like, by denying or whatever you want to say, delaying his monetization. I think that's clearly their statement on the matter, but I do think eventually he'll get it back. I don't think they'll make him wait more than a few months, but I don't think we've seen too many cases like this. But I do think eventually he will be remonetized. But he's also teased as part of this clip that, took off in his statement, and he was very upset with YouTube. He does also tease a pretty big deal coming. So everyone wondering if that's going to be the Rumble deal that will be signing Doc next, and if it will be seeing him over there.
I have to assume so, just based off of their interaction. It's not going to be anyone else.
Maybe.
Like we know, it's not going to be Kick. It's not going to be Twitch. Obviously, it's not going to be, doesn't seem like YouTube. So I feel like Rumble's the only option, or like I saw today, Jack Doherty over on a new website, Party or something like that.
Sounds fun, man. That's a real top-notch first signing for that website. I'm sure they're going to do really well.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? There's always small places popping up, so if anyone wants a bag, I'm sure they can get it. Yeah, Jack Doherty's at Party, and then there's Noise popping up, as we know. So you never know. People could be reaching out on the background, because I feel like smaller platforms that would maybe want to grow a lot and don't really care who it is would be apt to send an offer.
Yeah, and I think it's a really interesting transition, because we then also saw Devin Nash, a very well-informed guy who has kind of been off of some platforms, but been definitely focusing again on the YouTube side of content. Very informed on the streaming and the content creator space. And he had a long post and tweet about Twitch and a potential what he sees as an adpocalypse crossing that platform due to a variety of things that he listed out in a Bible of a statement over on Twitter, if you guys do want to check that out. And it's a transition, because if Twitch is really struggling, and we have seen Twitch creators using the system as it should be, putting a lot of ads. We all know Twitch love ads, and so too do the streamers, but they're being paid such exorbitant amounts of money for these ads. But what Devin claims is advertisers leaving the site in huge ways because of all of the controversy that Twitch has found themselves in. And then we also have other people saying, okay, like, when is Twitch's time coming? Are they going to be up soon? And if they ever do fall, speaking of third-party sites out there for streaming platforms, we're going to see a lot try and fill that void that, whether you love Twitch or not, they are a pivotal piece in this game. So a potential adpocalypse coming from Twitch, which would be not good.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we're less informed on than we probably should be with this. just because it goes into a lot of politics as well. I feel like, but it seems like a lot of people have been tracking this one guy, the Dan Can't Stream guy, was following it a lot. I know he is passing off information to Richard Lewis now to track down on things. But I was looking at it, and it looks like a representative. There's an article in New York Post now. Richie Torres, who says a congressional letter has been sent to the leadership of both Amazon and Twitch to sound the alarm about the amplification of anti-Semitism on Twitch. Hassan Piker, who has described Orthodox Jews as inbred and a Jewish man as a bloodthirsty pig, is the anti-Semitic voice of a systematically anti-Semitic platform led by Dan Clancy. The time has come to hold Hassan Piker and Dan Clancy accountable. So that is a Democratic representative speaking on that, and there's, like I said, there's an article in it on the New York Post, and so people are like, this has gone into mainstream now at this point, like all of this anti-Semitism stuff, and people calling for Dan Clancy to what's the word? Not retire. That's not the right word, but you know what I'm trying to say. Step down from the company. A lot of people are looking at Twitch and asking questions, and that Dan Can't Stream guy, and as well as Devin Nash, saying that, you know, like they've had conversations with a lot of different brands in the back end who are saying, or agencies who represent brands, maybe more specifically, who are saying that these brands are pulling out from Twitch.
Yeah, it's just so crazy to think, even this last month alone, and then you could recall the last like 2 or 3 years that Twitch has been involved in such big controversies with streamer bans and streamers they don't ban and alleged statements here. And then, of course, you have the length of bans being issued. And then most recently, all of these streamers like Asmon having some crazy statements. Then you have Frogan with some crazy statements. They both get issued bans. You have a lot of political streamers being banned for some, again, you can't dive into all of it because there's just so many things being said across all of these streamers across hours of broadcast. But obviously enough of it has stuck to the wall where people are like, hey, you're allowing things to be said and, to go across your site that are maybe not seen as such great statements. And then, of course, you have all the Hassan stuff where he remains unbanned, and you have so many clips going around of things that he has or has not said. It's a whirlwind of a mess that Twitch find themselves in. I am surprised that people are trying to pin this on Dan specifically. Maybe I shouldn't be surprised. Maybe that's us being ill-informed, but it seems like a big voice all of a sudden coming after the CEO, which I guess is probably when you're a facing figure like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think if your company is being said that you have all these things going on your platform and no action is being taken, then you, the guy who's going on his music tours and hanging out with OTK, are going to be the first one to get blamed in that situation, especially because you're supposed to be the leader of the company, no matter if you're just the face or actually leading it. So I think there's some complacency that people would be calling for him to step down. I just don't know, like, future facing, what happens if this does happen. Like, if a lot of advertisers do pull out of Twitch, then what happens to Twitch, first of all, and then what happens to all the content creators who are making a living on Twitch, and like, how does that ripple effect affect things throughout the content creator and obviously our concern, gaming and esports scenes and X, Y, and Z. Like, it's just going to be a massive ripple effect because Twitch right now obviously is the home, realistically, of live streaming. I would assume most people float over to YouTube in that situation because they've already had their Adpocalypse. They kind of got their stuff figured out for a while. Just a situation that I can't see going well if it actually does continue.
I don't even want to think of a world if Twitch somehow dies or is sold off, right? It's an ecosystem, like, it's such a pivotal piece of the esports streaming gaming ecosystem that the ripple effects, like you said, would be like tremendous in a terrible, terrible way. So I don't even want to know what that would be like, but also because other platforms are not really optimized for like the clipping that makes the ecosystem go around. They're also not known for the ad rates, at least that I've seen, that Twitch is giving out. I for a long time, I've wondered, especially during this holiday season-ish, end of year, like the money that these streamers have leaked on their dashboards is insane to me. Like just running max ads, as many as possible, as I would be too, right? If you have the audience, but you look at the top 0.001% of streamers and what they're making from ads being ran, I was always mind blown that was even a feasible number to begin with to be given out for those ads on streams.
Well, then think about how much Twitch is making. on the back
right?
end of all of that. Like if the streamers are making that much, then how much is Amazon making from those ads that are being ran? And how much are these advertisers paying? And why can't we get a deal if they're paying that much? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so I mean, Devin warns of another, YouTube Adpocalypse coming to Twitch, which, I mean, those were some dark, dark years, and we're talking about a potential industry reset. But for the streaming world, it's maybe I don't know. This would have to be an ongoing discussion to see how, Twitch may falter here and there. I don't want to dive too deep into a potential apocalypse of that kind of stuff. I hope Twitch stays around. I hope they get things sorted. And for me personally, at the end of the day, I am so non-political. Like I hate elections. I hate these years and I hate these last few months because everyone is sharing their opinion or trying to get you to, vote one way or the other. And I'm just trying to watch my games, So I think it's obviously it's a very important time for the country. I get it. But for me, it's just every day, all these hate-filled posts on both sides. I just can't stand it.
Yeah, I think it's just my thought process is interesting that for Twitch to face this sort of backlash, it had to be politically charged in a way. Like the amount of things that have happened on Twitch in the past, and we've been concerned about ad issues. It has never been this serious. People are spreading cheeks on the platform, and we've gone through all the different very risky metas where these people are showing a lot, to a platform that has a lot of kids on it, and that has never seemed as serious as this with advertisers. So who knows where it'll go.
And one of the stories I really wanted to pick your brain about, Hunter, because you first sent me these clips and we disagreed at first, and I want that to be on record, okay? Because you sent me the Valkyrae and Lisa drama as apparently involving Valkyrae's ex, that being Sonii. If you guys are intertwined in the streaming and gaming community, you know what I'm talking about. But to set the record straight, we got a WoW streamer. His name is Sonii. Also known for being a pretty buff dude and being an MMO kind of streamer. We have Ray, who has obviously blown up and gone a lot past the streaming scene, I would say, in the last few years, but formerly worked at GameStop, worked her way up in the gaming space, one of the bigger female streamers ever of all time, and then with 100 Thieves as well, and has kind of branched out into so many different things by now. Actually recently started a podcast with another creative known as Lisa that I don't really know too much about, and it was Lisa who gifted Ray on that podcast a voodoo doll of her ex, Sonii, who we just previously mentioned. And this clip has now gone viral for people being like, that is a very strange gift for a friend to be giving you on a relationship that ended, according to Sonii, over 3 years ago. And so, Hunter, let's shoot the crap on this one back and forth. What are you thinking?
First of all, here's the thing. Was it all just a ploy because
Nope,
it worked?
It's not a ploy. It is not a ploy. This is very serious. I don't think this is a ploy based on the reactions, man.
But the podcast has now gone viral. Everyone's seen it. People know that Ray and Lisa have a podcast. The clip is everywhere.
What, you think they're paying?
It a ploy?
You think they're paying Sonii to drag his name through the mud of tens of thousands of people?
No. I don't think they're paying Sonii at all. I'm just saying, did they know? Hey, let's stir up some controversy on the podcast. Let's do something spicy so people get upset about it.
Lisa might have,
goes around, and then people know about it.
This Lisa, I don't know much about her, but she seems to have a bit of come from a very creative background where I would not be surprised if you're creative enough to come up with a gift basket that involves a voodoo doll made of someone's ex. I wouldn't put it past her to be like, this could get juicy,
Yeah, I would say my first reaction, and the one that I sent to you, was that I felt like Sonii was originally overreacting, and that was because based on the one clip that we saw, Lisa gave that doll to Ray, and Ray seemed to have no idea that it was happening.
Yeah,
and seemed to be a little confused.
I do apologize. I should have given them the context too, based on that first. It was a clip that was actually posted by their podcast socials. So we were kind of doubting that Lisa and Ray run their socials, but that clip was posted on socials and it started to pick up a lot of traction. That's when Sonii responded, a lengthy response pretty much saying, hey, we had a very toxic relationship on both sides, but neither of us cheated and neither of us were abusive. Ray, I have no way of contacting you, but before this goes down the direction it is, feel free to reach out, was his response. And so a lot of people responding to him saying, keep your head up. This is a very weird thing that happens. Hunter, sorry to interrupt. Just want to give context.
No, it's fine. I just think, my first reaction was that he was overreacting. Granted, then you brought up that they responded more, and Lisa saying, I hate that man, and Valkyrae, getting involved too. And that's when it was okay, well, it doesn't seem... It is a little weird, obviously, if you have an ex that 3 years later, they're bringing you up to talk about.
I think it's kind of weird.
in a public setting, that's a weird way, especially if you've talked about him enough that your friend makes a voodoo doll of him and apparently hates him a lot. Granted, here's the grain of salt. We don't know what happened in their relationship. We don't know anything about it. Like, okay, then first question, why does she hate him so much? What's going on here? 3 years later, why is the friend of Ray so upset about stuff? And why do they think it's so funny that there's a voodoo doll of him? And so I think there's a lot of questions, regardless of what is public-facing information, that we're not going to get the answers to.
I think we are, Hunter, because there's been some other things teased. And then the question becomes, okay, we don't know what went down, right? We don't know what's going to be revealed. But even if he did cheat 3, 4, 5 years ago, do you think he deserves to be drugged across what's now going to be seen by millions of people like that many years later? Like, people are going to have different opinions on that. The update now being is that Lisa originally responded to that clip saying, I hate this man, deleted that. The clip is still on their socials for their podcast. And their next tweet, hours after Sonii had responded saying, hey, I don't know what this is even about. Like, we should go our separate ways. Neither of us did so-and-so. That same podcast channel, their socials, posted that a Liars and Cheaters episode seems to be next up. Lisa and Ray then go back and forth and respond to that. And they're talking about bringing the girl, presumably the girl that is going to be, they're alleging Sonii cheated on Ray with, maybe doing a podcast with her. And then even more so, they respond to that saying they're going to bring a voodoo doll to that one. And Ray goes, voodoo dolls are scarier than vaccines. Inferring, I would assume here, that maybe we're getting into a vax versus non-vax situation. Like, why are we talking about all of this? Like, it makes me feel bad. We don't know what happened, but it makes me feel bad that all this is being aired out for some reason 3 years later.
I guess the vaccine thing is definitely a jab at him because I think he was outspoken about vaccine stuff a while back and was very concerned about it. I just think, like, dude, if you date Taylor Swift, expect to have a song written about you after you broke up. If you date Valkyrae, if you date a content creator,
he dated her before she was famous. What do you mean?
No, not before. We definitely talked about that. 3 years ago.
It was during.
What do you mean before she was famous?
It was like during her come up. She wasn't who she is.
We were at Esports Talk 3 years ago.
Brother.
She was the owner of 100 Thieves.
Listen, they dated up until 3 years ago. They were dating before that, you dimwit.
Yes. So here's the thing. She was already a co-owner of 100 Thieves 3 years ago.
Not when they started dating.
Right. But I'm saying 3 years ago. They were still
together.
They could
have been dating they could have been dating 3-4 years before that, before she was even on the come up. We don't know.
All I'm saying is if you're a content creator and you're dating a content creator, then expect to have content made out of your breakup. It's going to happen.
Okay.
Like
that's a better take.
That's the situation. Like, it's going to be talked about publicly. Like, audiences are going to make assumptions and ask questions, and you're probably going to talk about it. And if it happens 3 years later, well,
but a voodoo doll is a weird gift, man.
I agree. Voodoo dolls are just weird in general. I can't imagine sitting there making a voodoo doll of someone else's ex to begin with.
Okay, can you imagine making a podcast episode with the person that cheated on, like the person that your partner cheated on you with, for content?
I mean,
like that's the voodoo doll might be
good
weirder
content
than that.
though. Like, like if you're going after a girl audience, I see their angle here, right? Like, they want to get a gossip session together for a podcast. I don't know. We just got to start restricting who can make podcasts and who can't, probably including ourselves. Who knows?
Yeah, honestly. But that's why we try and stay in our lane with gaming and streaming topics. Ray and Sonii are in that world, just so you guys know. What are your thoughts on that one? But also, unfortunately, we usually end these podcasts with esports news, and it doesn't seem to be good esports news as of late. It is now, as of latest, news out there in the esports scene. Yes, Lando Norris and his team, that being Quadrant, who is kind of a fashion collective, also known in the motor sports realm, but does very well merch-wise. And Lando Norris, obviously, one of the more popular, if not the most popular F1 drivers, just based off his personality and just being a dope guy. Lando and Team Quadrant have now backed out of Halo's HCS, so that's their Halo Championship Series. They are now one of 3 teams in the past 2 years to leave that scene, and they are also leaving esports on a wider scale to refocus on their brands and image outside of esports entirely. So some very, very sucky news.
sounded like you were trying to write an essay at the beginning of that.
Yeah, I was talking a lot. Yeah.
As of late in esports, the latest news in esports is the fact that it's late in esports.
It sounds like the old videos at Esports Talk, how they would start. And
honestly, true.
You want to talk about how many redos you did your first year at Esports Talk, bro?
Yeah, plenty. I don't know, man. I'm wearing a Quadrant shirt right now. I
got Quadrant merch too.
For the, for the old.
For the.
Well, okay, relax. For the old Lando Norris helmet that I don't think either one of us own anymore from Esports Talk, so RIP that. But it is sad. I think really only in the Halo scene, I would say. Is that the only scene they were still in?
Yeah, but they were sprinkled in others. But I mean, now that you say it, like that was their prominent esport. But the fact that they even addressed by saying we're also withdrawing from a wider scale, it's like they're not even going to touch other ones, you know?
They hosted a major this last year as well, over in London or in Manchester, I think, right?
Yep.
I'm not surprised, I would say, especially with organizations like this that have a prominent face that's not esports or gaming inherent, I think is the way you would say it. Like Guild with David Beckham or Lando here. I know different situations, but I'm not surprised because esports is not their focus.
Yeah, and they do well fashion-wise in their merch. It was nice to see they had some of the best jerseys in esports. Their merch is really, really well done, too, so they live up to that standard. But, yeah, we've seen a lot of withdrawals recently. We're seeing a lot of esports teams continue layoffs. G2 this past week also announcing layoffs and kind of taking things back in North America. We got TSM doing the same thing. They're already a skeleton crew, and there's many, many more. So esports, it continues to be in tough shape.
Here's my question, though, for this situation. Do you think this is a bad omen for Halo? I mean, I feel like Halo hasn't been doing great already, and we're seeing teams pull out.
I think Halo was already leaning that direction, so this certainly does not help. When you have a league that if they can't get a new partner team in, you've lost, I believe, 3 teams over the last 2 years. When it comes to Halo, I think we're down to 9 teams, like an awkward number, so... we have one more year of HCS, and I think a lot of people would be on the same foot of like, who knows where it goes after this year.
Yeah, I can't see it lasting too much longer when so many smaller brands or medium-sized brands are pulling out. And, I mean, what are you really left with? Optic and FaZe, per usual, SSG locked into it. But after that, it's, how worth it is it even for them if Halo HCS as a whole isn't worth it? Are people still coming to events and buying merch? Is the team profitable at all? Is there
depressing,
any reason?
man.
Yeah, so curious to see where Halo as a whole goes. I would hope maybe there's some revitalization for it in the future, but I feel like the current iteration, Halo Infinite Esports, probably only has one more year left.
Yeah, we'll probably have some more depressing Halo news coming sometime in the future. Sadly, it's still a great esport to watch and one of my favorite games out there. Not for Hunter usually, but... Last story for all of you. We appreciate all of you guys who keep on watching this podcast. It's a weekly occurrence where we talk about streaming and gaming news, and we also read the comments, which we do appreciate. But we're going to Germany, so a little bit of announcement for all of you. We have a hectic end to this year, which you will be hearing about if we manage a podcast the next upcoming 2 or 3 weeks, which will be busy for us. We're heading to Germany at the point of you guys watching this for a CS tourney, that being the Thunderpick World Championship. So we're going to spend some time over there in Berlin.
I'll be in Germany for 2 days.
Yeah, you're barely gonna see. I mean, I'll be there for 2.5. So,
right, you'll be there for a day longer than me. But I don't know what to expect at Thunderpick World Championship. To be honest, like in person, what is it? I know other creators are gonna be there, the teams. I'm just really curious to see what everything is like. We've never been to Germany to begin with.
Yeah,
a lot of question marks on my side.
Apparently, kebabs are good over there, man. So we definitely gotta dabble.
Okay, then hopefully we're set. That's really all we need is kebabs and beers, and I think Germany has that.
Yeah, it'll be a short stay, but we also have some upcoming trips we'll probably tease to you guys in some future podcast episodes. But it's going to be a crazy end of the year. Thanks to all of you guys for watching as per usual. But until next time, we hope you guys all enjoy this episode of the GWRLD Podcast, episode number 6. We appreciate you guys. Hunter, get in with that closer, man.
Bye.
Yeah.